Okay, welcome everybody. Obviously it's been an interesting day. As far as this whole recruiting thing, I want to thank our staff for doing a great job getting out there. It's what goes into recruiting. I can't begin to describe the ups and the downs and the travel and the conversations and the phone calls and the visits, the official visits, unofficial visits, home visits, school visits. I mean, it goes on and on. What it takes to be able to be successful in recruiting, and I think we got a staff full of guys that understand what it takes to get the job done. So, big thank you to them. Big thank you to Ryan Dorchester and Casey Smithson. For the in-house recruiting efforts that they've done. It couldn't be possible without the organization that they put forth. And again, a lot goes into that as well. So thank those guys for everything that they've done. Really excited about the guys that we got. Okay, we got 22 guys on board right now that we've worked hard on getting to that number. Thrilled that they're a part of the Mountaineer family. There's been a couple of guys that I'm thrilled that they're not a part of Mountaineer family at this point. And the reason that I say that is because we were very selective towards the end of this process. First time in 5 recruiting classes that we were able to be selective towards the end of the recruiting process. By signing 22 guys, that puts us above our 85 scholarship limit. Okay, so, whether we have a few academic casualties, whether we have guys graduate early, whether we have guys move on, we can be selective when it comes to getting to that number 85. And to me, that's we've worked hard over the course of 5 recruiting classes to be able to get to that point. Because our numbers were so high and so healthy, we were pretty selective towards the end of this process. Just a few minutes ago, Gary Jennings committed out of Virginia, which was kind of the final piece to this puzzle today. He's been one of our top receiver targets. Coach Galloway did a great job of cultivating a relationship with him and his family. He was a high priority today, and so we were extremely excited to get him on board. Got guys from 8 states. I think a few years ago we had 12 states, which was pretty high. Got 17 high school guys, got 3 junior college guys, and 2 transfers. So I think that's a little bit more in line with what we want. Anytime we can get a couple of 4-year transfers with the like from Michael Ferns from Ohio came from Michigan, and Kyle Bosch from Illinois came from Michigan. Those were 2 big-time recruits out of high school. And they expressed interest in wanting to be at West Virginia, so we jumped on them. More than likely, they'll have to sit a year, but anytime you can get that caliber of a recruit on campus, we're going to jump on that. Junior college-wise, we fluctuated from, a couple a year to as high as 9 or 10, I believe, a couple years ago we took. So just the needs, right? We needed a pass rusher, so we got Larry Jefferson from Itawamba Junior College. He's originally out of Atlanta. He's a long, lean pass rushing guy that we need help on the defensive side with. I've said this quite a bit that, we, in order to be successful in the Big 12, we need to continue to improve on defense, which we have improved on defense, but we got to get to the quarterback. We didn't have as many sacks as we needed to a year ago. Added Rasul Douglas out of Nassau Community College. Anytime you can get a 6'2" cover corner, that's going to help us in the secondary. Coach Gibson's been he's put on tape and he's proved that he's not scared to man blitz. So you better have guys that can cover. He will add to the guys that I think we already got that are able to cover. And then K'Ron White. Karan is going to be a familiar face. He's going to be recognizable. He's going to come in as his own guy, but yes, he is Kevin's brother, and he came from Lackawanna Junior College. He really wasn't on our radar until about probably December. He was scheduled to come out next year, and because he's really done a great job in the classroom of getting himself in position to be able to graduate in May. He'll come on board in May, and he'll have 3 years to play 3. 6'2", 200. His tape looked remarkably similar to what Kevin's did at Lackawanna, and pretty thrilled to get him on campus as well. And then we got 17 high school guys, from, we got 5 guys from Ohio, got 4 from South Florida, 3 from Maryland, 3 from New Jersey, 2 from West Virginia, 2 from North Florida, and then 1 from Virginia. So that identifies the areas that we are going to focus on in recruiting. Ohio's been good to us, Pennsylvania's been good to us, New Jersey, Maryland, Virginia, Atlanta, and then all of Florida. So overall, excited about where we're at, and we'll open it up for some questions to get some specific on the rest of these guys.
What was the primary need you feel you guys addressed in this class?
Well, you always want to have variety as far as the positions go. We felt like we're in a pretty good spot at running back. We felt like we're in a pretty good spot at linebacker. So the numbers, there's not a lot of recruits in those 2 areas right there. But if you look at all the other stuff, you got a good bit of variety in the rest of it. We're quarterback-wise, we're, finally in a spot where we got depth. This is the first time, if I'm not mistaken, I've said this 2 or 3 times a day, but if I'm not mistaken, it's the first time that we've had more than 2 scholarship quarterbacks. I mean, for the previous 4 springs, we've been pretty limited with scholarship quarterbacks. We're going to have 5 scholarship quarterbacks this spring, so depth there. Getting 5 offensive linemen is awesome. It's going to put our overall scholarship numbers up around 20 at that spot. Needed some wideouts, so we got 3 good wideouts coming in. We're going to continue to do some tight end stuff. So getting Stone to come in at tight end, I think, is going to be good. You need D linemen. We got several D linemen and several corners. The needs were variety. We were able to get the numbers to where we want them, and to continue to build depth and address the areas that we just mentioned.
For more, there are some other kids that haven't committed yet.
Yeah, there is. I mean, we can continue to take them, but the situation that we're in right now, which is a good spot, we're not going to take guys just to take them to fill spots. I mean, there's anybody that we take. We got one this afternoon that we're pumped about. Anybody else we take is going to be pretty much a bonus. So we don't need to do it for numbers wise. We need to do it for just improving our roster from a talent point of view. So there's room to do it if we find and locate guys that we want.
Talk about those numbers. I mean, obviously this is a change from when you started here. Just your approach, how it's progressed over the years to get to this point.
Well, having 71 guys go through spring is more than we went through fall camp in 2012. So that's a start. We're going to be able to line up with a bunch of quarterbacks and 3 full O lines and 3 full D lines to where we can play a bunch of football. So that's step one. And then anytime you can improve your roster from a talent point of view, I think is important. So we don't want to sign guys and replace guys with the same talent. We want to sign guys and replace guys with guys that have more talent. So I think we're on that track.
Shannon, you got 2 pretty good players from Miramar, but they had that situation down there. Do you know if they're going to have an eligibility problem or?
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't take guys that we think might have an eligibility problem. So. In us studying, each and every one of these guys academically, we feel like they're all in a good spot to be eligible.
Did you find out about Jennings when he had made his announcement?
Yeah. As far as y'all are concerned, I did.
You have some kids that have enrolled and you've gotten a chance to see them. Talk about them a little bit.
Yeah, the 5 guys, and we have not spent the strength staff has spent time with them. We have not done any football-related activities whatsoever, and we won't for the remainder of this week. Spring football is pushed back this week because spring break is pushed back this year, this spring. We'll have another meeting here in the near future that will discuss dates and, positions and players and coaches and all that stuff. But up until this point, this is the fourth week that the guys are in school, and they've been strength and conditioning and academics only. Okay, so, after signing day's over, coaches, I'm going to take a couple of days off. We'll start our meetings with players next week. So we'll start our early morning stuff Tuesday, Thursday. We'll get in the film room and be able to meet with them. We'll start getting into the weight room with them a little bit. Watch, some of the agility drills. We'll start all that next week. But Larry Jefferson's doing good. Seems like he's adjusting good. Kyle Bosch, Michael Ferns. I mean, they're, at this point in time, going to have to sit out a year, so they're fine. And then two young quarterbacks. Their heads are spinning. They're eager to want to learn. They're like, when can we meet? When can we meet? I go, leave me alone. I'm going to leave you alone because when next week comes around, you're going to get enough of me.
So speaking of those two and just the quarterback position in general, you talked about how different this is going to be from what you've done in previous years. What do you look forward to in having so much depth and a lot of young guys who are really fighting?
Well, believe it or not, in years past, we've had more than two quarterbacks on the roster. It's taken up until this point to be able to get to that spot, but it's all about competition. I mean, if you want guys to get better, then they better have somebody to compete against. And we got 5 guys on the roster, and I think all 5 of them are going to be eager to compete, and especially the young guys with 3 freshmen, future's good. We got a good balance with a couple older guys and some young guys, and excited to start pushing some buttons in the film room and then, watching how they develop and then getting them into spring practice to where we can see what they do football-wise.
Dana, it seems like you know what you're going to get out of some of these junior college guys. It's kind of the lure of getting them in right away, playing time. But with freshmen, are there any freshmen in this class you feel like can play right away?
I'm sure there are. I can guess, and I'll be wrong. I mean, if I would guess a couple of them based on y'all's opinion or rankings, with some sites opinions or any of that, then you guys would know who they are. But that never ends up being the case. I mean, there's always going to be some highly rated guys that disappoint you because they're not game ready, and some lower rated guys that are game ready physically and they catch up mentally really quick. I do think with freshmen that if there's a need to play freshmen, which I think we have a need at receiver, and that's probably it as far as freshmen to come in and play right away. An O lineman may surprise us, a corner may surprise us, a D lineman may surprise us. One of these quarterbacks might surprise us. But I do think that because we can work with them in the summer, it gives them a little bit better chance. When they show up here June 8th, we're going to be able to spend 3 weeks with them, which is going to get them, probably a little bit more game ready. But then again, if I guess, I'd probably be wrong. So you got to wait and see how they adjust.
Is there more of an emphasis of keeping in-state talent home?
Seems like it. I mean, we've always done the same thing. We've identified guys, we've recruited them, we've made decisions whether we offer them, whether we don't, based on information, which is height, weight, size, speed, film. Camps and all that stuff. So we've done the same thing that we've been doing. It seems like there's a little bit more going on within the state than there has, in this year's class and in the next couple of classes. It seems like there's a lot more going on than in my previous 3 years. So it's not any more of an emphasis. It's just it seems like there's a little bit more to choose from.
You mentioned some tight end sets. What about the latest generation of Wolfley? What does Stone bring?
Well, he's got good size. We gotta get him in here June 8th. it'd be nice to have him show up every day and work out, but he can't. He's got to go graduate and all that stuff and be a high school kid, and I'm sure he's looking forward to going to the prom and all that. But once June 8th rolls around, we're gonna get him in here and treat him like the rest of them, and he's in a position much like Cody Clay where they got to get dirty. They got to get tough. They got to mature. They got to get in the weight room and get bigger, faster, stronger. And he's got to get meaner and develop his skill sets that ranges. With the tricky thing with with tight ends, it's a combination of what O linemen do, what fullbacks do, and then there's the skill aspect of it as well. So. He's got good size, he's got a good frame, and anxious to get him in here to teach him what to do.
What do you see out of the Adams brothers? Are both defensive ends? Twins.
Yeah, they those guys, they just win ball games is what they do. I mean, those two were, shoot, how many games have they lost in the last couple of years? Not many. I mean, they've won state championships and been an integral part of that. Now, whether, Jaquez plays quarterback or receiver or corner, whether Jordan plays corner or receiver, I mean, those guys can do a lot of different things. They've probably been as much of a joy to recruit as anybody I've ever recruited. I mean, they're all about West Virginia now, so, they've been over here a ton, and they're bright-eyed, they're happy, they're fun to be around. And they're good football players. Where they end up playing, I don't know, and I'm not concerned about it in the least.
Has the cycle spun around now where your taller, tougher receivers and cornerbacks are kind of the preference?
It's a start. If you can get those guys, and I think that's one reason Kevin was successful, is because he could hold up to the grind of the season. Now, he got nicked late in the Iowa State game was subpar because he got nicked up, but those guys physically got to be ready to hold up. They got to be capable of holding up, and that's why Gary was so important to us, because he physically just is impressive. So having those guys that are big that can hold up, and also have the ability to be able to make plays is something that's pretty important.
Has your philosophy changed on recruiting Texas? I know that was one of the things when you guys came and not really downplayed the Northeast, but just weren't familiar with it. Has your opinion on Northeast football changed in the time?
It has. Yes, it has. I mean, my background was the Southwest, was Texas and was the Southwest. And I thought it was a good idea. Oliver thought it was a good idea. We were, because of the conference that we were in, because of the kids that we were recruiting, we could get some guys like Jordan Thompson out of Katy High School, which is a national power. Garrett Hope out of the Woodlands, which is a national power. Noble out of Wiley is a regional power. Dustin Garrison out of Pearland was a national power. So those guys brought something to our team that I didn't feel like existed at that point. Just a ton of structure, hardworking guys that were undersized that weren't recruited by a lot of those Texas schools. So I thought it served its purpose. Going to the Big 12, it's just our philosophy that we can recruit a better kid more regionally in the Northeast and up and down the East Coast and in Florida. We can sell the Big 12 brand. We can recruit against almost everybody, and get a better kid than we could do in Texas right now. A lot of competition in Texas, and we got to play them as well. So,
Dana, a couple of things on the Michigan guys. First of all, you said that as of now they'll have to sit out. Is there a process going on for both of them to appeal?
I don't know. I mean, that's handled within our compliance department. If they feel like there's a angle that we can play, then we will. On my sheet, they're red, which means that they're going to redshirt.
And Ferns is listed with you as a tight end fullback, and he was a linebacker at Michigan. Is that
right now? He could do any of that. That's one reason why I liked him so much. I mean, he's got great size. He was highly recruited. He could play tight end. He could play H-back. He could play defensive end. He could play linebacker. There's a variety of things that he can do. And the truth of the matter is we got about a year to figure it out. So he can do a bunch of stuff, and we got some time to figure that out.
And you mentioned heavy offensive linemen. Look at each of those kids. Give me a comment or two on each one of those.
Bosch is huge, big and powerful. Matt Jones is, he was a pleasure to recruit as well. That kid never wavered. Right up the road in Youngstown, down here all the time. Fired up about being a Mountaineer. Had offers from other people that he didn't entertain, which is refreshing in today's day and time. But big kid, he's big. He's got great pad level. He's powerful. He needs to get in shape, and would do that for him. Colton McKivitz is a 6'7" basketball guy. That is a pretty decent basketball player, but a project tackle. He needs to gain a bunch of weight, but's got great feet. Jay Sean Sider is got great feet. Center, smart. Obviously, consider him kind of a coach's kid. Because he's been around it for so much. He's got better size than I remembered when I saw him in the house, which was a fun home visit. He's got great feet, he's got good size, and he's a coach's kid. Rob Dowdy, got this guy late. Worked hard on getting him. Shannon kind of got us in on that guy, and then Ron took him over and did a great job closing on him. It reminds me a lot of Pankey. I mean, he's 6'6", got good size, is athletic. Likes to play basketball in his spare time, which is cool. But is going to be big. The thing with offensive linemen is if you're counting on O linemen, whether they're JC or not, to come in and play right away, your team's not in a good spot. So each of these guys, I don't anticipate any of them coming in. We got approximately 14 scholarship guys ahead of them. To where we got plenty of depth, and we'll allow those guys to be able to develop.
From the sound of it today, a lot of positive things to be said about an early signing day. Talk about the momentum behind that and why that hasn't happened yet if so many people are in favor of it.
I don't know. It seems like it's gaining more momentum. That in going to these spring meetings, we talk about a variety of things, and we go with the basketball coaches, the ADs, men's and women's basketball ADs and football guys all go to these meetings together, and all these basketball guys, when we start talking about early signing days, they all look at us like we're crazy. They said, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. It's going to kill your summer. You're not going to have any downtime whatsoever. If you had a July or August signing day, I think that's right. They're true. They're right. I'm in favor of a December, early signing day, which to me makes sense. If you got, just like that JC signing period, whatever that is, it's somewhere around December 17th or 18th, whatever day that is, whatever Tuesday or Wednesday that is. A lot of these high school guys that have been committed to us for 1 to 2 years that have already taken plenty of visits, there's no reason why you can't sign those guys. It eased their mind over Christmas and in January. It'd save universities thousands and thousands of dollars. It'd probably get rid of some of the signing day surprise stuff, which drives everybody crazy. I just think there's a lot of positives to it. So I think it's gaining momentum, and I think this spring's going to be huge when it comes to, all these coaches going out and talking about it.
Along those lines, and you mentioned this earlier, for people who don't get it, I guess, could you just detail what the last couple of weeks are like from going, multiple cities in a day, keeping Main Street, eating 3 dinners in 3 different living rooms, stuff like that, what that's like to have to get a class?
What are you saying, I'm gaining weight or what? I sure feel like it. Boy, it's been tough.
That's like there's a certain...
It's tough. December, January is the toughest 2 months. There's no question. I mean, December you're coaching, you're getting ready for bowl games, you're out on the road, you're doing all this, doing all that. Then you got a little bit of downtime, which is basically vacation time, convention time, and then it's go time and recruiting. where you're hitting as many schools as you possibly can because it's crunch time and you're trying to hang on to guys, and it seems like the closer you get, the more squirrely kids get at times as well. But you're trying to squeeze as much as you possibly can, and when you got guys from 8-9 different states, I mean, it takes time to jump around. It takes a lot of money, and in my opinion, you're wasting a lot of money because you're going and seeing guys that could be signed already. And then you fly back on the weekends, and you host a bunch of guys on the weekends, which entails another 6 or 8 meals, that you get after. So it's neat. There's some good parts to it as well. You get to go out there and meet a bunch of people and spend time with them and see some high school coaches and all that. So there's some positive things to it, no question. But so it is stressful, and but it's our livelihood. It's what we do, and we're excited about doing it.
You mentioned Jefferson. You got 2 other defensive linemen, young kids, in
Schreiner and Schuler.
What do you see with them?
Big. They're big. Out of Orlando. Schreiner is a big, thick nose tackle. I mean, this dude's bench is 600 pounds, and it weighs 300. I mean, he's big, strong, physical. Is a great fit for us, at nose tackle. And then Schuler is long now. I forgot how long this guy was. 6'4", 6'5", 240 pounds or so. I mean, he's a pup that's just going to get huge. So just an awesome looking defense end. I mean, we're lucky to have those 2.
What about the other in-state guy, Lindsey out of Martinsburg, with him being to so many state title games, you get to see him a lot. What did you like out of him?
Just liked his athleticism in camp. When he was here this summer, he played running back, he played inside receiver, he lined up at safety, he ran well, he was long, a long strider, had good wingspan, did a lot of stuff for Martinsburg. When we saw him in camp, we kind of went back and looked at his junior tape a little bit, and it was impressive, and just really the camp performance really impressed us with him. And then, he followed it up with the great senior year, made a lot of plays. So he played a lot of different things.
What does Rasul Douglas bring already pretty deep secondary?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I mean, just 6'2" cover guy. I mean, you can put him at corner, you could put him as a nickel guy. I mean, anytime, you have opportunities to have guys that can cover, you better jump on it. So he was high priority. Coach Mitchell did a great job of getting up in there and getting to know him, and went and saw him 6-7 different times, and really did a good job of getting to know him. He trusts Coach Mitchell, and Brian's excited about coaching him. So Brian's walking around here with a smile on his face. He's got virtually all of his corners coming back, and we added 4 pretty good ones as well.
Receiver-wise, similar situation to a couple years back where you're losing your 2 big guns. Did you learn anything from that experience, and how are you going to approach this spring, this summer, replacing that production?
Well, we lost 90% of our outside receiver position, but 2 years ago, after 2012, we lost about 90% of our overall receiver production. So, having Jordan Thompson and Da'Keel Shorts coming back is going to be big. Those guys have been productive and understand how things work, so they can bring younger guys along. The tricky part about 2 years ago was not only outside receivers being new, but inside receivers being new, running backs being new, and the quarterbacks being new. That's what the problem was 2 years ago. So we got running backs back, we got tight ends back, we got inside receivers back. We just don't have the wideouts back. We'll have 6 on going through spring ball. Didn't have 6 going through spring ball 2 years ago. So we got 6 bodies. Which of these 6 going to be able to mature and develop? I don't know. And then we're going to be able to bring 3 in June. That'll be able to push them as well.
South Florida is important for you guys, obviously. Still, you talked about Cider. There are a couple other South Florida kids. Williams, what would you see with them?
Well, you know, I mean, it's always been good to us, you know, so you can go down there and get caught up with recruiting too many, you know, and J1 did a great job of going down there trying to hit some home runs on some guys, you know, and I thought we had too many at one point, too, so we parted ways with a few of them, but you know, those four we have been pretty solid. You know, we're not interested in getting guys that want to commit and take a bunch of trips and all that stuff. So we shut some of that stuff down, and the guys that were pretty loyal to us were those four. So we're excited about them guys. Jovan came to our camp in the summer and is as fluid and twitchy as I've seen. You know, I don't know if he's game ready yet, and I've told him this. He needs to get bigger and gain some weight and lift weights and all that stuff. You know, Tyreek's kind of the same way, just a huge talent. You know, he's got great feet, can cover, can make plays. Is he game ready? I don't know. He's got a little ways to go. Kevin's the same way for a safety. You know, he's got to continue to develop. He's talented and he makes plays, but whether he's going to be game ready or not, we'll figure that out once he's here.
Coach, kind of piggybacking off that pipeline, Miramar just seems to get better and better as years go on. How much of a benefit is to have, you know, have you been around a school in the past that's had that kind of pipeline?
I think that kind of exists everywhere. You know, if you have pictures of NFL guys like Geno and Stedman, you know, then those young guys are going to kind of look at them and have, you know, they're going to recognize the WV. They're going to recognize where they went to school. So that helps. It helps kind of get you in the door, you know. But then you got to recruit them, you know. And you know, having Damon here, there's again some familiarity with what we were doing. So if you just add it all up, is a good fit. You know, those two kids came here, you know, because of name recognition. They grew up watching at West Virginia, but then, you know, they'll be the first to tell you. You know, being able to play in the Big 12 for those two kids is pretty important.
Recruiting staff, are you ready to make any announcements, changes?
Yeah, I'll cover all that in a few weeks. I mean, we're in recruiting mode right now. We're going to take a few days off. You know, we're going to do a team meeting on Monday. You know, I haven't talked to the team yet. You know, so we're going to do a team meeting on Monday. We'll be able to spend 5 weeks with them. You know, so. After we spend a few weeks with all that stuff, we'll get together again with y'all, and you know, there are not going to be a whole lot of changes. This is different than in years past, you know. So there's going to be a lot of carryover, a lot of familiarity with coaches, with players, with assignments, you know. But there'll be a few changes. I'll get with y'all here in a few weeks, but there's nothing really, honestly, guys. There's not a whole lot of major stuff happening.
Virginia's been tough to crack at times in the past. What do you think was the difference here with Jennings?
Lonnie did a great job, man. He did a super job. Yeah, you know, he's you know, he's been everywhere in the past, right? I mean, he's got guys from all over, but you know, him getting over, you know, into Maryland and Virginia, you know, and he's going to continue to start to crack away at some North Carolina stuff, you know. But you know, Virginia's been tough to crack, but him getting in there and pulling Gary is big, you know. And it's 100% his relationship with Gary and his family, and getting Gary over here a lot, and making Gary understand, you know, the need for a guy like him at receiver. I think it played into our favor.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you all.